Oh, thank you, Nalini. Um, so yeah, I've been a career educator, high school teacher, a school founder in Brooklyn, and now I specialize in teaching school leaders how to incorporate restorative practices into their models. All right, so I'm just going to dive right in. I have 5 minutes to present a perspective, and so Nalini gave me a few kind of prompting questions, starting with sort of how do I feel about the current climate? What do I think are some key issues? And so I want to draw attention to a lack of connection. That's the issue on my mind. Science says social connection is actually a human survival need. Connectedness is necessary for mental health. A strong sense of connection can even. I don't think schools are focusing on relationships and connection from my vantage point, right? And now the teachers who do always have superior results. In fact, I'd encourage everyone present to even just think about how you felt in the space of your favorite teacher of all time. When community and social connection is the focal point, it's easier to repair harm as well because those relationships exist and they need to be restored. And that's essentially the definition of restorative justice. And there's a bit more to it, right? Folks in my industry, we often cite this researcher, John Brathwaite. And to better understand why crime occurs, rather than looking directly at quote unquote criminals, he asked, why actually do most people, most human beings across the globe, do the right thing most of the time? And we might speculate, well, yeah, because people don't want to go to jail. But that's actually not it. He found that the strongest correlating variable was because of a sense of connectedness or belongingness. So even the most serious crimes that he investigated, up to things like mass shootings, he found that the offenders did not have a sense of belonging to a community, and that was actually the strongest correlator. But what do? We push people away. Schools suspend, they expel, they think out of sight, out of mind. When the kid comes back, he'll have learned his lesson. She'll never do that again. But we don't actually forge relationships and then aim to repair them, right? And then I hear school leaders all the time wonder why so much misbehavior occurs when they never bothered investing in relationships. So how does that affect me professionally, personally, or otherwise? Well, I train schools to use restorative practices. A lot of people think restorative justice, restorative practices is just about repairing harm. It is partly, but actually 80% of restorative practices is actually about building strong relationships in a strong community. Look, fundamentally, a person does not bring harm to a place that they truly feel connected to, where there are strong relationships, people they can trust and depend on and love and who love them. And so we often point out that in New York City, as an example, 80% of the teachers are white, but 85% of the students are children of color. Does that automatically mean that a white teacher it's impossible to have an impact in a Black or brown community? Absolutely not. If the teacher learns how to forge relationships, connect, demonstrate a reverence and a respect for the values, the preferences, the history of the children, the community that he or she is in. Because kids learn best from people they love. And you can't just skip that part. But that's what I see happening every day. Schools in our country are under so much pressure to cover material that they skip the community building, right? And then they punish kids by excluding them. And then these kids obviously don't feel connected to their teachers, their administrators, their peers. They feel alienated. They bond with others who have been excluded. And that's what bolsters what we call the school to prison pipeline that disproportionately affects Black and brown youth. And beyond schools, I constantly see humans arguing, hating each other, because we don't teach people how to connect and empathize and manage emotions, do we? I mean, I don't really see it happening at home. I don't see it happening at school. So when is this supposed to happen? All right, so what am I doing about it? What do we all need to do about it? I don't know if folks on the call saw Chimamanda Adichie's TED Talk, The Danger of a Single Story. Probably many of you have. We, restorative justice folks, we talk about a process that supports restoring, right? There's literally no human being we can't connect with. So I might be diametrically opposed to someone politically. Find out they supported a candidate whom I consider a vile racist, just a danger to the world and all of human dignity. But with the right process that fosters connection, I can add to that story. I can restory this individual, right? Like I have a 5-year-old daughter that I'd do anything for. Maybe I find out this other guy has a daughter the same age. And although he's definitely been misled, he thought he was fighting for his daughter when he cast that vote. And we'll still disagree, but will I really hate that man? I mean, will I likely seek to bring harm against him, right? I was bullied in high school for years. And then a few years later, I remember someone told me that bully was badly abused by his father. And that changed something in me, because I learned that hurt people hurt people. I learned about trauma. I learned how it affects our brain. It affects our ability to regulate emotions, connect with others, right? Just have successful relationships in general. Punishment can never resolve trauma, but empathy and healing can, because healed people heal people. So schools and society at large have to use restorative practices to build strong communities, and then focus on cultivating empathy, repairing relationships, and meeting the needs of victim of harm when it does occur. And if we do this in school, it will, of course, permeate society, right? So we need to demand that schools properly train on and implement restorative justice. Stop the criminalization of our youth, and particularly those who identify as Black, Indigenous, and people of color. So I'll stop there.